Alexander Isak. Is he coming or is he not? Got no idea. You don't have any idea, but I have some thoughts on the matter, and I'm delighted to be joined by Brian right next to me on your stream, if you're streaming this on YouTube, and about to tickle your auricles if you're listening to the audio version. Brian, welcome back. It's been far too long. How are you? You're in Hong Kong. There's some kind of typhoon warning. Are you okay? Are you hunkered down?
Yeah, I'm very good. I'm just smiling ear from ear. Every day something great happens with my football club, and I just getting the news in that we've signed that chap who I'm going to call Ekatike.
It's not bad. Eki TK.
Eki TK.
Yeah, or Hugo if you
Boom.
want. Or Ugo, because they don't pronounce the H. Ugo.
Ugo Ekatike.
Perfect. Sound just
There
like
you
a
go.
native French person. Very good.
Yes.
Very good. Yeah, Ekatike is very, very exciting. We will talk about him. And in the meantime, we're going to also talk about Alexander Isak. Because there's been a lot of guff and gubbins and the likes in recent days about how Liverpool... Let's just have a bit of a recap. Okay, so Liverpool fans, some of them in the podcasts I've been listening to, have been convincing themselves that Alexander Isak is going to join Liverpool. And I think that's utter tosh. I don't think we should be getting our hopes up. I don't think we should be doing anything of the sort. So let me just check that this is live on YouTube as well. So excuse me. But so the argument goes that Liverpool were told by Isak or Isak's representatives to make an approach to Newcastle because something might be able to happen. Liverpool did so. Newcastle immediately said F off, perhaps using those words or other words to that effect. So Newcastle told us to F off immediately. So then Liverpool went back to Isak and said, well, you know, this is you have to put in a transfer request. You have to be, claim a Coutinho-esque bad back. You have to, do this, that, or the other to make this move happen. And so then Liverpool, were basically told that there was no way that this was getting done. The Liverpool fans who I think still believe that Alexander Isak could be a Liverpool player are saying that if the player now really, really pushes for a move, then we can do it. Or Newcastle's asking price of 150 million is just something that we should just pay because everybody has their price and it will happen. I don't think that's realistic because, Brian, I think Newcastle have got all the cards. They're keeping them close to their chest. They're not revealing what's on them. And they're just saying, bugger off to Liverpool, right? As they should, as you would if you were the president of Newcastle United. Are you still there?
I'm still here. Sorry, I was waiting for you to say something. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I thought you were pondering there. I thought there was some pearl of football wisdom that was just going to flow from you.
Oh, no. Sorry.
Like, wow, he's pondering quite a long time. This is dead air. This is not good for a broadcast.
No, I guess that you're traditionally waiting for a question to answer.
Yes, that's your question,
I forgot. I was supposed to ask questions. Imagine you were the president of Newcastle United. What would you do, Brian?
Well, this whole situation with Isak has kind of confused me a little bit, I have to say, because, obviously I rate him. Everybody rates him. He'd be a great signing. I don't think anybody would not want to have Isak in their team. And, but just something seemed off about this whole transfer the entire summer. Like it's not going to happen. I think most Liverpool fans were quite shocked when we signed Verts, and we were like, "Wow, we're that club now. We're paying that money. We're making those moves." But are we that club that does it twice in the same transfer window? I don't know. It seems suspect, and with Romano, is it coming out with the "Here we go" on the other fella? I mean, that's going to put that to bed. We're not going to sign him and Isak in the same window, Anwar. So I think it's kind of a mute point. The only way I'd see him, I would imagine most players want to come to us now where we are, what we're doing, and the team that we're building. We're obviously building a new team, and it's an exciting looking team. And so I think the players will want to come play for us. But the only reason the club, particularly a club like Newcastle, would want to sell or would have to sell is because of PSR, right? It'd be madness for them to sell their jewel in the crown. He's the star of their show. You take him out of the team, I'm not sure Newcastle is the same team, So I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's a bit of a non-starter, a bit of a smoke and mirror thing, probably a Michael Edwards Jedi trick. Look over here, and we grab this guy whilst everybody's looking over there.
Well, you mentioned Wirtz there, and I did do an episode before he signed of just asking the question, is he worth it? Because I just wonder if anyone's worth the kind of price that the prices that are paid, and hopefully Wirtz will prove to me that he is indeed worth it. But I'll ask you the same thing, Brian, in terms of 150 million. Even if, let's say, for example, that is their price, they will, because that's a ridiculous amount of money. Would he be worth it? Is he that good? Or given his injury history, he's just not worth the risk, and we're better off with Ekitike?
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. That was always been my feeling about him. His age, his injury record. There's no questioning his talent and what he brings to the team. And would he fit into the team? Yes, I think he would. But for 150 million, these days, I'm an old guy. I used to care about transfer monies and price. Now I don't care. It's not my money. I trust Edwards empirically. He's the smartest guy in football as far as I'm concerned. So if he thinks the money's there, the money's there. But I think all you got to do is look at United, right? Just a couple of bad transfer windows with some pretty heavy transfer fees, and don't get too comfortable, right? Because things can go south quickly, So I'm much happier signing Ekitike than my brain's gone blank. Isak. I think it's a smarter move. I think there's a player there, the new lad, and it's normal money, even though the price is still quite high. It's definitely much more doable, and we haven't even sold any players yet, which I'm sure we will in the next coming days. But I didn't think it was going to happen, and it's definitely not happening now. The way things stand, I think.
Yeah, well, there you go. I wanted to have some kind of debate in which we have differing opinions, but no, we've got the same opinion. It's not happening. The people who are clinging on to the idea of Isak joining Liverpool are, I don't know, deluding themselves, perhaps. Eddie Howe, though, because did you see that Newcastle lost 4-0 to Celtic in a game in which Isak did not play? He was taken out of the team and indeed the squad by Eddie Howe. He didn't travel. And Eddie Howe, from that match, according to Keith Downey, who's a Sky Sports journalist, Eddie Howe said, yes, I'll do an Eddie Howe impression, which is not very good, but I just feel like doing it.
Go on then.
Eddie Howe said, yes, I've had discussions with him, but that's not abnormal. I respect a player's career and how short it is. No, I'll stop doing that. Alex, to continue.
Brilliant.
Continue. It's not very good. I've never won any prizes for
Eddie Howe is in Coronation Street.
Yes, exactly. I don't know where EastEnders between the two. So Eddie Howe, I'll start that again. Eddie Howe said, yes, I've had discussions with him, but that's not abnormal. I respect a player's career and how short it is. Alex has been really good. He's trained really well, and I realise there'll be noise around him. I chose to send him home. The last thing Alex wants, if he is not playing, to be sat in the stand and under that scrutiny. Then if he wasn't going to play today, we mutually agreed that he shouldn't be here. So he's just contradicted himself. He began by saying it was my decision, and then he said we mutually agreed that he shouldn't be here. Then he said, has there been any approach for Alex? No, there's been no formal approach. We have a few of these players who are irreplaceable. Your top players are so hard to find, so hard to recruit, and so hard to develop. So when you have them, you need to treasure them. Of course, we're desperate to keep him as part of our team. I think it's difficult for me to ever give 100% clarity on any player. I'd never do that. All I can say is Alex is happy at Newcastle. He loves the players, the staff, the team. I've never had any issue with him, and I'm confident he's going to be here at the start of the season. So there are two ways of looking at that. If you're extremely optimistic, stroke deluded as a Liverpool fan, then you're going to say, well, there's still a chance in that Dumb and Dumber Jim Carrey way. Or you're going to say that Newcastle, he wants to go, but Newcastle have told him no and stop being a naughty boy. And I think that's far more likely. Gary Richards is in the chat. Hello, Gary. He says, tally ho, Owen, dear boy. Pip, pip, Gary. Lovely to have you with us. And Gary says, Isak will not come to Liverpool. Isak was a dream. Ugo is the reality. And I like that. Out of 10, how excited are you, Brian, about Ekitike?
About Ugo, I've just been joking with my mate. It's like if Peter Crouch and Thierry Henry had a baby. I'm very excited. A bit of Matip, a threesome, you know. I'm really excited. He's brilliant. He's got it all. He's got link-up play. He can take on a man. He's got a shot on him. He's at the right age. He's the kind of player that we like to sign, actually. You know, we've signed some players over in recent years that have reputations. It's like Gravenberch, right? Gravenberch was like highly rated all across Europe, but just didn't quite work out for him. He came to us, and we're seeing the player that was everybody knew was there all along. It's the same with Ugo. He's, you know, there's a reason why we're paying all this money. He's very highly rated, and there is a player there, you know. And let's see what he's like. Second bite at the apple at a big club. As we talked earlier on, I actually genuinely, I much prefer we signed him than Isak's, because I just think there'll be just so much weight with that signing, and I think also Liverpool are buying the league as well. You start to hear that, I'm sure, but I think this is the kind of player that will just balance us out. And I can see, I have to say, with Isak's, there's something does seem kind of off about it, because I'm not saying the door. Like, it's 99% it's not going to happen, but there still are weird things happening. And some people who I respect are quite convinced he's still coming, which is bizarre. And the fact that he hasn't played today or whatever they played is, again, a bit of a weird one. I mean, I can't see a world where we sign Hugo and Isak at the same time. Where would they play? You know, how would we fit all those players in? So, yeah.
Well, there's another rumour going around, Brian, about Isak going to Saudi Arabia. So Saudi Arabia put in 250 million bid or whatever, way over the odds. But of course, Newcastle are owned by Saudi Arabia. And there's something I really don't like about that rumour, in that, given the corruption that we've seen and the way that some clubs can just spend as much as they like, hello Chelsea, without any kind of recrimination, and they don't have to spend within their earnings, even though they're supposed to. If players can start going from Newcastle to Saudi Arabia, we can see all kinds of cooking of the books going on, Brian, and I think there should be some kind of guarantee that Newcastle players cannot be transferred to Saudi clubs, because if they allow it, then what's to stop? For example, one of their lesser players, who's I don't know, Lewis, what's his name? The young midfielder, Miley. That's right, Lewis Miley.
Okay.
Who's probably, his market value is around about 40 million, because he's overpriced as an English player. but 40 million would be his market rate. But what would hypothetically, what would stop a Saudi club from bidding 200 million for Lewis Miley, thus significantly augmenting Newcastle's coffers, and then leading Newcastle to say, well, we're acting within PSR and financial fair play because we've just had 200 million for Lewis Miley, so now we're going to spend that on, I don't know, half of the price of Kylian Mbappe or whatever,
I think it's so tricky to police all this, right? Particularly with the feeder clubs model, the multi-club model that's out there as well. I mean, I think there's an element of, if you can't beat them, join them. I just don't know how they police that in reality, considering the Saudis have so many people in their back pocket, let's be honest, in the game. It's not like there's a huge appetite to kind of put them into check either, right? But I know what you're saying, and the only thing that's kind of given me the only good thing I've seen actually since Newcastle was bought by them is they haven't really massively splurged the cash, right? They have spent money, but at least they're presenting themselves as they're trying to be reasonably financially in line with guidelines.
But now,
unlike City.
But for now, but I mean, that's because PSR was brought in on the back of, it used to be FFP, Financial Fair Play, and then it changed to PSR on the back of the Newcastle takeover to try and have more strict rules, and on the back of the Premier League taking Man City to court. But now I think PSR at the end of this coming season, at the end of 25-26, PSR is going to be scrapped for another model, which in theory is going to be even more strict again, but it leaves the door open to potentially finding loopholes. And so, I think it's in the interest of everybody to police this, to
for sure
that the game of football isn't ruined by this kind of.
Well, they're trying to globalize it, aren't they? They're obviously trying to put a global championship, Premier League, right? The club, that championship that just happened, and you can see what their intentions are. Especially in the Middle East and other places where they're spending all that money, they want to be playing against the big boys, right? So, we have to stop it as much as we can. But I don't know. It'll be an absolute travesty if he goes to Saudi, right? That would be
for European football, for Premier League football,
just for football in general.
Okay,
you want to see players like him at top clubs playing the trade. I mean, I have no problems with players who are kind of on the fringe or coming towards the end of their careers, or making a bit of money up there. By all means, go. But the absolute top players, it just breaks my heart when you hear that they've gone to China or they've gone to the Saudi. I mean, it was just China was the Saudi about 5 years ago, right? Do you remember? Like, they were signing some pretty big players that top Premiership clubs were after, and some brilliant players went out to China to play in, a farmers league, or I'm in China. No disrespect to China, but it is not a great league. If I'm not here for the next podcast, it's because I've been arrested.
Well, I mean,
2 legs bad, 4 legs good.
Okay.
No.
But no, I know what you're saying. No, China, it was a big deal, and then it went very calm or very quiet a few years ago when Saudi sort of stepped into that super rich gap left by China. We've got Nigel in the chat as well. He says, hey guys, hello Nigel, great to have you with us. Nigel asks, have we ever had a palindrome up front? Billy Liddle is Ledil. That's probably the closest we've got to any other palindrome, but Ekitike is indeed a palindrome. And I think he's the only one, not just up front, but in defence.
Great name for a nightclub.
Correct me if
in Essex.
Correct me if
off to the palindrome.
I don't think we've ever had a palindrome up front. Gary says Rodrigo is next, and Yash is with us. Hello, Yash Mishra. Great to have you with us, Yash. And Yash asks, what's your opinion on selling Diaz and bringing in Rodrigo? Yash says they think it's an upgrade. What would you say, Brian?
Yeah, I love Diaz. I love Lewis, but he's one of those players where I get it. He's been angling for a move since day two of him arriving here, and he's one of those players who obviously wants to play for Barcelona or club out in Spain or whatever. He's on a pretty crap contract, let's be honest. But he's a player and he contributes, and he's obviously, I don't know, we have all the cards, right? Whatever happens, I think it'll most likely be a good outcome for us. Because we are obviously holding tight on a number, and if we can get north of 80 million for him as a 28-year-old, then I think I'd break their hands off, and I think Rodrigo is obviously an upgrade for sure. But
really? I can't
do you think?
disagree more. I cannot disagree more. No, absolutely not. No, I think I'll share some. I'll share some.
Oh, let me preface this by let me just preface this by I actually, I've never seen Rodrigo play, so that's based on just complete vapor.
Well, okay.
And the fact that he plays for Real Madrid and he's got a slightly better name, and he's Brazilian. On those technical attributes, he's obviously a better player.
Well, there you go. You can see a scouting report from FB Ref on your screen, and if you're listening to on the audio feed, then you're very welcome. Hello. And I'll just explain a couple of things about it. But Luis Diaz, basically 13 goals and 5 assists from 2,500 odd minutes of Premier League football last season. That's 18 goal involvements from about 2,500 minutes, which is very, very good. That is short of the number that you really want, which is if you've got 2,500 minutes, you ideally want around about 22 or more goals and assists. He got 18, which is very, very good. Like, it's incredible. Rodrigo, his scouting report, he's a bit better in terms of pass completion. He's better at keeping the ball. Rodrigo's in the 98th percentile. Whereas Luis Diaz is in the 93rd percentile. They're both very good at it, but their profiles are quite similar. Rodrigo is better at progressive carries. Diaz is slightly better at successful take-ons. Rodrigo's got all these nice stats, like he's very good at take-ons and carrying the ball. He's very good at keeping the ball. He gets a lot of touches in the attacking penalty box. He's in the 82nd percentile, but Luis Diaz is in the 87th percentile. That could be more tactical than anything. Defensively, Rodrigo is actually quite impressive. He's pretty good at doing the donkey work. Maybe surprisingly good. But Luis Diaz has a lot more goals and assists.
Do you know who he reminds me of? Sterling.
Raheem Sterling. Okay.
Raheem Sterling. And Raheem Sterling's mum. Wherever Raheem Sterling played, his mum would beef up beforehand and say he wants to move here. When he came to us, and then when he went to Chelsea, he has that, like, Diaz is. I just can't see a world where he's still with us. I'd be very happy, and I think he'll be okay. He'll put his head down. He'll get on with it, but he obviously wants to go.
Yeah,
and he wants to go because he's on a crap contract. That's it. Yeah. And if he's not going, and I think fair enough, offer him a contract that he's earned. Right? He's been angling for a new contract now for 2 seasons practically. Has it been 2 seasons? I'm not sure, but it seems like a long time. And if Bayern Munich are in for him and we're not prepared to pay him the money that he's due, and he is due it, I think he's on 50 grand a week, right?
No, those rumors have been debunked. It is more.
Oh,
but it's
okay.
Especially with incentives and goal bonuses and all that stuff. He's on. It's closer to. It's still nowhere near other attackers, and it's lower.
Is it more like 70 or something?
No, it's more like a basic salary of like nobody knows, but someone sort of
Right.
they debunked it somehow. Someone found out, and it was reasonable.
Okay.
It was like, I don't know, 75K a week, but then if he scores, he's got massive goal and assist bonuses or something. So it's not actually
Okay.
that
Fair
bad,
enough.
but it is slightly lower than the market average for someone that good. But no, but my point before was that Rodrigo
Yes.
only has 11 goals and assists from 3,100 odd minutes. 11 goals and
Okay.
assists from
Yeah.
2,500 minutes, 600 minutes fewer, which is a significant amount of games.
Mm.
Diaz has 7 more goals and assists than Rodrigo.
Oh,
So
look, I think the problem with Diaz is not his talent, not his skill. Is he a top player? We all agree he's a top player. Is he a Liverpool player? Yes, he is. But my problem with Diaz is that there's always been noise around him, always, the whole time since he's been here. Like even when he had that whole unfortunate situation with his parents and I think his father or whatever, and Liverpool fans did what Liverpool fans do, and we round up the wagons, we supported him, we got behind him, and thank God his dad was returned and whatever. But almost like a week later, it was like another story in the press about he wants to go to Barcelona or something like that. And that's my perception of him. If I was to be hypercritical of Diaz, is that he's a great player. I'd like to see him on the team sheet, but I don't know. Is he a Liverpool player, true and true? I'm not sure. I've always had my question marks about him. He always seems like a player who's just passing through to me, Whereas a lot of these players, I can see them playing for like many, many years, right? Whereas I just think he really, really has his mind set on the next big thing, whatever that is, which is basically his contract, right? An element of that. But I guess, as I said, I think we're in a great position. We have all the cards. He has a long contract with us. If he stays, I think he sticks his head down. He gets on with it. I think it's not a problem. If he goes, I think we're going to get a great price for a player that's pushing on. And I don't know how many more years he has in him at that level. And I don't know what Rodrigo. I mean, like he comes with a massive, massive reputation again in world football, one that's not fulfilled at the moment. And, we seem to excel with players like that. These players who maybe haven't reached the heights that people expected of them, they come to Liverpool, the fan base gets around them and they flourish here, So I think on that level, I get what you're saying. It's obvious that Diaz Lewis is a great player. We love him. We wouldn't have a chant for him otherwise, even though he's asking to go to other clubs, we still have a brilliant chant for him. But there's always been this idea that if the right kind of money came in for him from a big club, he'd be off.
yeah, okay. I mean, all that's very, very fair. Very fair. I've got some more comments in that I'd like to address chronologically. Gary Richards says that Man United want to hijack the Gyökeres deal from Arsenal, 70 million. But then since then, Fabrizio Romano, just a few minutes ago, has put out a tweet saying Gyökeres is very clear that he doesn't want Man United. He really just wants Arsenal. So we'll see what happens there. That's a long-running saga that I'm glad we're not a part of. Nigel says that Liverpool are playing a behind closed doors friendly versus Stoke, and it's 4-0 at half-time. A Darwin hat-trick and Rio Engamoha, the 16-year-old wonder kid, Wunderkind, I think in German. Don't know why. And Yash is back in with a comment. So Yash says, I have watched Rodrigo for some time as my mate is a Madrid fan. He's just really raw, but with a really high ceiling. And 11 goals and assists was because he was asked to play out of his natural position due to Mbappe. I would totally agree with you, Yash, and you might be right. He might absolutely thrive at Liverpool. But in terms of being raw, he's actually 24 years old. This is the thing that I didn't realise until I looked it up last week. He's not, I thought he was like 20, 21. No, he's 24 years old. So yes, he has some room to improve, and if he finds the right club, it could happen. But when you're 24 and you've played 3,100 minutes, even out of position, playing on the other flank, I I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. But you've seen him a lot more than
I'm
I have because your mates are Madrid fans. I'm going to say that you. I mean, obviously, everyone's welcome to your opinion. I'm just not sure. But Brian, go on. Just
I was going to say I heard somebody was talking about him recently and saying that even he doesn't get a lot of time playing time at Real Madrid, but when he does, he contributes
But
every
that's the thing.
time. So
3,100 minutes is like 31 appearances in La Liga out of
mhm.
34 maximum games. It's not. He wasn't like he played a hell of a lot of football, much more than Luis Diaz. So he played a hell of
I
a
don't
lot.
know if it was like in his recent, because I think the context was in recent times he wasn't getting a lot of playing time, but when he did get the playing time, he hit the ground running every single time. Like every time they brought him on or he started, which wasn't a lot, he contributed. Another wrinkle to this story, to this whole question of the left hand side, is Rio as well. I'm
Yes,
really excited by him,
exactly, exactly.
and he again, he's a potential world beater. And we have to think about him. We have to think about his route to the first team. And I really, really want to see him get playing time this season. And that's something that we have to think about as well. And when we're thinking about who are we signing somebody on the left?
That's
If we are,
exactly my last question for you. It's absolutely brilliant. I want to ask: do you think we need another attacker? Let's say Diaz is out the door. We brought in Ekitike. Do we need another attacker, or do we develop Rio, keep him as the sixth option, and keep Darwin? Darwin's just banged in a hat trick in the first half. This is buzz cut Darwin. The last time he had a buzz cut was the season in Benfica when he got 32 goals.
oh
Um,
wow,
you would think that there might be some kind of redemption for Darwin, redemption story where they just the past is the past. It's all bygones, and this season he's gonna be a Liverpool player, and he's going to play as much as possible. He may even start the season ahead of Ekitike and see how he goes, and that might inspire him to kick on. So that's the question: do we need another attacker, or should we develop Rio and keep Darwin?
I'm with you. I mean, it's a bit of a boring show. We could tend to agree on most things, except for the things I know absolutely nothing about, like stats and actual playing ability. But yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I definitely think Rio. Look at Trent, right? Trent got his chance because of injuries, and then we had this amazing player show up, and the same with Sterling. Sterling got his chance because we didn't have any players, and old B Dog, had the youngest team in Premiership history or something like that, and players like we had kids all over the place, and Sterling was one of them. And he got a run of games in our team, and then he went on to be the player that he is. And so I'd like Rio somehow to get and forget about also Cody. I think Cody's going to be the main man next season. I could see Cody starting more times than not. So yeah, I'm with you. I don't. It's not left. The left wing is not something that has been on my radar at all summer long. And if we don't do anything, and I don't care, that's fine. We've got more, and I'm sure half the players in our team could probably play out there as well. And even Jones has played out there a few times, right? So I'm not really that worried, especially with Kirkus bombing on, and Andy's in the background. So the only other player that I'm hoping we get now is the lad from Crystal Palace, right?
Okay.
That would just be, yeah, that would just be the perfect. I was talking to my buddy. I was saying this is probably one of the best, if not the best, transfer windows we've had, because we are champions and we've strengthened with all these players. We've had good transfer windows in the past 20 years, but we haven't been champions and had great transfer windows. And that's what we're doing now. From a position of absolute strength, we're going out there and we're signing some of the best players on the market. So that we get that one final defender, it'll just be wow.
It's a midfielder for me, Brian. It's a midfielder.
Is it?
We need a centre back and a midfielder, and then we're done. But attacking wise, I think we're okay. So we've got Gakpo on the left, Florian Wirtz. If you look at his heat map last season for Leverkusen played a lot from the left. I mean, it's an option. But let's say we got Gakpo, Rio, Wirtz, Darwin, Ekitike, Mo Salah, Chiesa, Elliott, Soboslai, Jones, all of these players who can play up front. That's enough. Central midfield.
Oh, yeah.
We've got Gravenberch, McAllister, Jones, Soboslai, Endo, Elliott. That's short for me. We need at least one more.
I see what you mean.
We need at
And
least one more.
has Stefan just blown his? Has he just had an injury again?
Oh, Bajcetic, no, he's just not very good. I'm not sure if he didn't really make it for Las Palmas last season, and he couldn't hack it in Austria, for Red Bull Salzburg. That didn't work out. They cut his loan deal short because he just wasn't performing.
Fair enough.
So I don't know if he'll ever come back from that horrible injury he had when we overplayed him. So yeah.
If we were signing a midfield player, I would put all my eggs in that Crystal Palace basket and have that guy, what's his name? Andy Wharton, is it?
Adam
yeah.
Wharton.
Adam Wharton.
He's
definitely
very good, but there are a couple of others. There's Stiller from Germany, who just looks incredible. Okay. Angelo Stiller, I think his name is. Incredible stats. I've watched like a compilation. Everybody looks amazing in compilations, but he does look amazing in compilations. He's like an all-round ball-busting midfielder. Right. So for me, it's Stiller and it's Baleba. And Wharton is a good option. But Carlos.
How old are those two guys?
Stiller, I believe, is about 24, and Baleba is 20, I think, or 21.
Oh, wow.
And
wow, there must be a lot of players in that position, right, around the world. You can get some good value there.
You can, but I think we need a ball buster. This is something that isn't talked about enough.
We need a defender as well.
Season was that we lost the duel battle. Plenty of times we didn't win the duels in games. The opposition won more duels than us in 17 of the last 18 matches in all competitions.
Wow.
And that's
and you're okay with not signing a defender?
No, I want a centre back too. Yeah, I do want a centre back too, especially because now Kwanzaa's gone. We need to replace him. But so we need a centre back and a midfielder, and then we're done after Ekitike. But all of this ISAK nonsense to round up is nonsense. You've heard it from Brian and I first or second, or perhaps you've thought it yourself, and it's just confirming that you are sane and all the other people thinking it's going to happen.
It's flush it down the drain time.
Yes,
that could be our new catchphrase. It's instead of a here we go, it's a flush it down the drain. You heard it here first. It's shit.
There we stop. Anyway, thank you very much, Brian. Have a lovely day. Good luck in the typhoon. Stay safe.
Yes.
Whoever you are, wherever you are across this world, watching on YouTube or listening on the audio feed, you are very much cherished and adored. Sweet viewer, sweet listener. And we'll see you soon. You'll never walk alone. RIP to Diogo and Andre. And we keep moving. We keep moving.